right, how we all doing? Awesome, awesome. Well, today is a phenomenal day to be celebrating women. And what a way to start the morning but a little cha-cha-cha. I saw you guys getting down. We learned this morning how to alleviate some stress. We had some phenomenal inspirational women. I saw a lot of laughter. I saw a lot of smiles, even a couple of hugs. I've had the privilege of getting to meet quite a few of you. And you know what? With all this celebration, I have to be honest that when I took a look into some of your eyes, deep into your souls, there is a little bit of sadness. Because a lot of us are not living the life that we want to live. There's a lot of opportunity. But I'm proud of each and every one of you for being here today. Because people like you and people like me take steps to make our lives even better. You know, as I was preparing to come and give this talk today, I really wanted to add as much value as I possibly could. I was reading a number of different studies on happiness and on life, and a really interesting one that I saw about the regrets that people have at the end of their lives. As I was reading the regrets that most people have in the end of their life, there were three that really stood out for me. The first one is that people regretted that they had, in fact, worked too hard. By a show of hands, anybody here think they worked too hard? Keep your hands up, keep them up, look around, yeah. That is most of us working too hard. The second regret that I saw is that people said they didn't have enough fun throughout their lives. My boyfriend always tells me I don't have enough fun, but anybody in here would like to have, by a show of hands, a little more fun in their life? Yeah, I like that. I like that. We're going to be good friends. The third thing, ladies, that I saw that people had a regret at the end of their lives is that they didn't spend enough time with their friends and their family and the people that they cared most about. By show of hands, would anybody here like to spend more time with their friends and family? Keep your hands up. Look around. Look around. That's every single one of us here in this room. So I got to thinking, all right, if I've got this talk and I have this opportunity to share some great financial advice with you guys, what would be of tremendous value? And when I was thinking about those top 3 regrets that people had, do you know what the common theme was for me? Money. A little cha-ching, because wouldn't you agree, if we all had a little bit more money, well, we wouldn't have to work so hard. And if we all had a little bit more money, we could definitely have some fun. Maybe we could fly off to New York for a weekend. And if we had a little bit more money and we didn't have to work and we had a lot more fun, well, we would definitely have more time to spend with the people that we love. So, ladies and gentlemen, today, I want to talk to you about 5 steps to help you get to a financially fabulous freedom. Now, money, in my opinion, is just an enabler. It's what's going to allow us to lead the lives that we really want to live. So are you guys ready to jump into the 5 steps? Yes. All right, let's do it. Okay, so step number 1 is determine where you are. Because when we get together with our girlfriends, we talk about all kinds of things. We talk about our boss. We talk about that date you had with that gentleman, what he did and what he didn't do. But we don't necessarily talk about money. So no wonder if I were to catch you and say, quick, how much money did you spend last month? You're likely going to be caught off guard. We don't talk about where we are financially, which is often why so many of us don't really know and don't spend a lot of time and energy focusing on where we are. I want to share a little story with you about a dog called Henley. He's a wonderful dog, a very loyal dog, a little bit lazy. Let me tell you about his owner, Sam. So one Sunday morning out in the summer, Sam decided to go on his porch. He's got the newspaper, he's got his latte, and shortly after he sits down, his dog Henley comes and lies down right beside him. Well, within a few minutes, Henley starts whimpering. Sam looks down beside him. Henley appears to be okay, but maybe he needs some water. So Sam runs inside, gets a nice little bowl of water, puts it down in front of Henley's snout. He doesn't take a sip. So Sam sits back down, thinking, okay, he must not be thirsty, and he gets back to his newspaper. He's reading, and there's a little gust of wind, and Henley continues to whimper. So Sam thinks, well, maybe Henley's cold. All right, so he goes inside, he grabs a blanket, he puts it down. Come on, all of you dog lovers up there, taking good care of your puppies. Puts it over Henley, but he continues to whimper. So Sam finishes his paper and his latte, and he says, all right, I've had enough of what's going on here. He goes and he picks up his dog, and the minute he picks him up, he realizes Henley stops whimpering, and that Henley was actually lying on a little teeny tiny nail that was sticking up from the porch. Now Sam thought to himself, well, why didn't he get up if he was uncomfortable? But the truth is, that's like each and every one of us. We all have a little teeny tiny thorn or nail in our side, but it's not enough to get us to set up. It's not enough to get us to be able to take some action. So let's talk about where you actually stand. From a financial standpoint, many of us don't even bother to think about how we feel about our finances. Most of us don't take the time to really know where we actually stand. Most of us have an opportunity to tackle the debt that we have. Oh, it's easier just to ignore it. Oh, I'll put those envelopes at the edge of the table or in the drawer or in the shoebox. I know you've all got a secret place where you put that stuff that you don't want to deal with. But we have an opportunity to really focus, to understand, do we have an emergency fund? Because we all heard the unfortunate story of that family this morning who had a tremendous emergency. Could you imagine how prepared we can be and how much better we can be in a position to tackle them when we've got an emergency fund? Do we, in fact, have a plan? Majority of us just cover our ears, ignore our finances, ignore our money, and just hope that it's going to be okay. But we know better than that. We have an opportunity to step up. So as we take the journey to financial freedom, some of the action steps that we can take around knowing where we actually are, because that's the only thing we need to do to figure out a plan. If we don't know where we are, how are we going to get to where we want to go? So some of the action steps that we can all take is set up a money date with ourselves. Make it a nice afternoon or a nice evening, put on some music, get a glass of wine or maybe a cup of coffee, and take a look at your numbers. Take a deep breath and dive right in. How much is in that checking account? How much is in that savings account? How much do you have in terms of debt? And then what we're going to do is make really, really small steps and ensure that we are celebrating the wins every step of the way. Because it's not about turning things overnight over really quickly, but it's about the small steps that we're going to take throughout the process. So we're going to celebrate, and here's what I promise you. If you set up a money date as begrudgingly as you want that blind date to be, if you do, you're going to actually start to sleep better at night. So we're going to know where we actually stand, and the next thing we're going to need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to control your spending. Now, the lights are on bright here, and I can see a whole bunch of you just roll your eyes at me, all right? I'm trying not to take that personally, but here's what I want to tell you about my financially fabulous philosophy. You will never hear me telling you to clip coupons. I'm not going to tell you to buy macaroni and cheese and eat that for dinner every night. Absolutely not. Because my financially fabulous philosophy is about making more money. And when we have more, yeah, I heard, come on, give me that. A little more money. Now, what we need to do within our spending is make sure that we're allocating our money to the things that are most important to us. So, if you're someone who loves to get your nails done, maybe like me, by all means, go ahead, but that doesn't mean you also get to go out for dinner every night. And if you love and value organic foods, no problem. But maybe you don't need 5 gym memberships at all the hottest gyms in the area, right? So it's about trading it off. I want to tell you a story about a coaching client of mine. Her name is Caitlin. Now, Caitlin is 34. She lives downtown Toronto. She's got a nice 6-figure job, and Caitlin was aspiring to buy her very first home. Now, Caitlin took one of my courses, which was called Home Purchasing Secrets, where I teach first-time home buyers throughout the entire process what to do so that they understand. Because buying your first house, not only is it expensive, but it's something that you've never done before. So Caitlin and I got together, and we were starting to map out her plans. And now one of the things I said to her is, Caitlin, for the next time we get together, what I need from you to do, please, is to gather all of your credit card statements. And let's take a look and see what your spending has been in 2017. Well, Caitlin and I made plans the following week to meet up at Starbucks and take a look at all of these statements. And the night before, my phone rang. It was Caitlin. She was in tears. Even though Caitlin made 6 figures, she was embarrassed, and she said to me, Limor, you will not believe it. I didn't want to say, oh yeah, it will. But anyways, Caitlin spent over $45,000 in 2017 on restaurants, on shopping, on purses, on going out with her friends. Now, I know that there's some chuckles in the audience as I said that. I can see your smiles. But this is the reality. When it's so easy to swipe our card, when it's so easy to click that purchase button online, it's not always as simple to focus on what we're spending. But Caitlin now had a goal. She wanted to buy her first home. And when you've got a goal in mind, as we've already created plans in step 1, it's much easier to control your spending. So the question that I have for you guys, figuratively in this moment, of course, is how much do you spend? Do you have a spending plan or a budget? Now, I know budgeting is really not the sexiest subject out there, but it's good for us to know how much money we're actually making. For most people, if I ask you how much money do you get in your paycheck every single month, you're going to give me your pre-tax income. Oh yeah, I make $60,000 a year. Oh yeah, I make $80,000 a year. But if I ask you how much shows up in your bank account on the 1st and the 15th of every month, there's a lot of, I'm not really sure going on. But we have an opportunity to really understand. Also, some of us have unfortunately fallen victim to lifestyle creep. You know, when you get that really great promotion and you get like a little bit of extra money to go with it, but with your promotion you need a new wardrobe. And with your new wardrobe, well, you need a new car. And before you know it, this fancy promotion is costing you more money than anything. So we got to make sure that as we're upgrading in our lives, we're upgrading our finances as well. What role does retail therapy play for each and every one of you here in this room? Yep, I've been victim of it. Something doesn't go so well in your life. You break up with your boyfriend, something bad happens at work, you head right over to the mall. But we've got to control that when we've got goals and things that we're aspiring to get to. It's important to have a budget. Benjamin Franklin said, if you fail to plan, well, you're basically planning to fail. So, if you haven't done it yet, I recommend you spend some time on your money date creating a little bit of a simple budget. If you need a template, you can get one from my website, limor.money, but they're free all over the internet. You can put them in your phone, you can use the back of an envelope. Just make sure that you're taking the opportunity to think about it and to plan out your finances. So, if you're someone in this room who needs to perhaps better control your spending, and we all have an opportunity to do that, go ahead and snap a picture of this slide up here. I'm proud of you guys, because there's a lot of things that we can do better. Let's start off by taking a look backwards, not with shame and not with guilt, but do what Caitlin did. Pull up your credit card statements and see how much money you've been spending and where it's been going. Give yourself a lot of love and don't be mad, but recognize there's an opportunity to do better. Make sure that you understand exactly how much money is coming into your bank account every month, because then that way you'll be able to know how much you have and how much you have to spend. It's helpful to create a budget, know where you want your money to go, and then track it for a period of time. Now, the real key here, ladies and gentlemen, is don't spend more money than you make. It's that easy. Let me say it one more time. Don't spend more money than you make. I like that. We got a good group of people. Give yourselves a round of applause. All right, so now that we are masters here at controlling our spending, we've got a plan for where we're trying to go. The next step, and this one's near and dear to my heart, is multiple streams of income. You want to have multiple streams of income. Now, I'll tell you this. If I could go back to my 20-year-old self and give myself one piece of advice, it would be generate multiple streams of income. Let me tell you a little story about one of my coaching clients. Her name is Melissa. Now, Melissa is a really creative gal. You know, she was one of those as a kid with lots of arts and crafts. And in her 20s, she really decided that she could use her crafty skills to open up an Etsy store. Now, if you're not familiar with Etsy, it's kind of like a craft market online, okay, where you can buy and sell stuff, and it's grown pretty big. But Melissa, who loves to create stationery, loves to create planners and stickers, decided to open an Etsy store. Well, her Etsy store became quite popular. She started making more and more money. Her and I spent some time figuring out how she could grow it, how she could create more products, and she had a good little stream of income. Now, this was on the side of her full-time job. She worked in marketing downtown, and she was making about $75,000 a year. And then she said to me, Limor, I'm so excited. I love that I'm making all this money from my Etsy store. What else can I do? And we sat together and figured out how she could actually start writing on a profitable blog. Now, about a year ago, Melissa called me up. And Melissa told me that she had just been laid off from her job. But she was kind of giggling and laughing. So I wasn't sure if that was just a funny, emotional reaction. But I said to her, Melissa, why are you laughing? Why are you giggling? You know what she said? For my other streams of income, my life expenses are already covered. Yeah, of course, she might miss that income, but she was prepared, even though she didn't know what was coming. It's now been over a year, and Melissa actually has not gone back to the corporate world. She's dialed up all of her other multiple streams of income. We now live in a world where there's so much opportunity for us. When you've got multiple streams of income, you realize that you are the stability that you need. Because long gone are the days, and I'm sure you all know this, of our parents' generation, where you worked for one company for 30 years, retired, and got a pension. That doesn't happen anymore. If you want stability, you've got to do it for yourself by having multiple streams of income. The other neat thing is it's an opportunity for you to really actually do what you love. Sure, we might love things that we do at work, but I'm sure you've got a passion or a hobby, whether it's photography or cooking or dancing, that you have an opportunity to start to monetize on it. The other really, really cool thing is when you have multiple streams of income coming from different places, you remove the ceiling that you have on your income. When you've got an employer, and I've been in this situation, where I hoped and prayed for a year-end bonus if the company did really well. Now that I have multiple streams of income, then when you have multiple streams of income, you're not worrying about the ceiling, am I bumping up against it? You have a chance to remove that ceiling and make even more income. You can also then take that money and allocate it to whatever is most important to you. If you love to travel, you want to do something nice for your kids, you want to start to save for a later day, you have greater flexibility and a lot more opportunity. And last but not least, when you got multiple streams of income, you've got tremendous flexibility in your life. Now, we're all here because combined insurance has brought us together today. And what I actually think some of the executives don't even know is I've been a client of the combined insurance group for a year and a half already. And what I love about not only the peace of mind that I have from that insurance, but for me, as your money gal, I love that the person who gave me that opportunity to get this insurance is making residual income from me on an ongoing basis. That's where we want to get to, a place where we are generating that residual income. Now, I know in my introduction you heard a little bit about my real estate world, so I'd be remiss if I didn't introduce the concept of real estate investing, and it's been a big part of passive income and cash flow coming to me every single month. However, I do understand that real estate investing can feel a little bit daunting. In fact, the latest stat that I've seen is that actually less than 5% of Canadians have investment property. It can take a lot of money, it can take a lot of energy, but it's something that I think we should all be considering as an aspiration, even if all you're doing is renting out a room in your basement. If you live in downtown Toronto where parking is impossible, well, if you got a driveway, you could be renting that out for a little cha-ching. So there's lots of opportunity for us to integrate and get into real estate. But let's start much smaller than that today. I want to share with you 2 other opportunities that have come my way that I'm a huge advocate of in terms of multiple streams of income. The first one is YouTube. So I started my YouTube channel in March of 16. It's been just under 2 years now. And my YouTube channel is called Limor. So the cool thing is, if you got a weird name like Limor and you want to create a channel, nobody's created one with that name. But the neat thing is, when I started it, it was because I wanted to share my message. I wanted to talk about elements of finance that people could learn and people could have free information. But what I didn't realize when I created my YouTube channel is that within a short period of time, YouTube would start paying me for turning on ads before my video. I'll tell you guys, in December, I went with my mom on a trip to go visit my grandmother in South Africa, who's getting quite elderly. So it was nice to be able to spend time with her. But when I was there, I didn't turn on a single video, but YouTube still paid me. So the neat thing is, when you create a YouTube channel, it can be as simple as you got your phone, you're taking some videos of yourself. It doesn't require fancy editing. All you have to do is decide what your message is. So it's a great opportunity. If you want to see how I've done it, you're welcome to check it out. Like I said, my channel's called Limor. Another great income stream that folks have really been intrigued to learn about, and is actually one of my favorites, is a platform called Go Read. Now, there may be some of you here in this room who don't really like to sell. I know some of us are really good at it, and some of us are really nervous. But the cool thing about a platform like Go Read is that you don't actually have to sell anything. All you have to do is create content. So if you're a good writer and there's something that you're passionate about, you can post articles on a regular basis and they actually pay you. It's a good way to make a few $100s every single month. So when you're creating multiple streams of income, they don't have to be big. They just have to be small to get you started. So as you're looking to create multiple streams of income, I've got some action steps for all of you. The first one is identify what you're passionate about. What is it that lights you up, that gets you excited? What is it you're doing on the weekend anyways that you can start to monetize? Think about how much time you want to dedicate, how much money you want to invest to be able to get this up and started, because there's often a little bit of investment required. But how is it that you can match your skills with the opportunities that are out there? The real question is, over time, how many streams of income do you want to aspire to? Now, I want to shift forward onto step number 4, achieving financial freedom. So we've all identified where we stand. We're all working on a plan to where we want to go. We are controlling our spending, all right? We're generating multiple streams of income, but why is it we aren't quite millionaires yet? We're working on it. It takes an element of curiosity and persistence. I want to share with you a little story. Some of you might have heard this. The tale of a Chinese farmer. Now, this humble Chinese farmer had a little farm. He had some corn, he had some wheat, and he had enough money to feed his family, but things were still really tight. So he thought to himself, well, what else can I do? What can I do that's a little bit different? And he started doing some research, and he decided he was going to have a bamboo forest. Well, he got the seeds for the bamboo forest, he did a whole lot of research, he knew the climate was right, he knew his soil was right and ready to go. But other people in his local village had tried this once before. And when he started telling some of his friends that this is what he was going to do, he was laughed at and ridiculed. Oh, that's not going to work. But he was determined. He was going to persevere and make this happen. So he took the seeds that he acquired, planted them in the soil, and within 6 months, guess what happened? Nothing. Nothing happened. Everybody laughed at him and nothing happened. Well, a year had passed, and guess what? Not even one little twig came up. But he was persistent. He knew this was going to happen. He had a vision for where this was going to go in the future. Well, year 2 passed, and year 3 passed, and year 4 passed, and you know what? Folks even stopped laughing at him because it wasn't even exciting to laugh at him anymore. But guess what happened at the start of year 5? They started to come up, that's right. Every single day there was a foot of bamboo that was growing, and by the end of the 5th year, he had a giant bamboo forest. And the reason why I share this story with you is because sometimes we need to focus on what's underneath. We're so focused on instant gratification here in our world and in our society. But sometimes the best things take a really long time. So of course this gentleman, he took all of his crops and he sold it for a tremendous profit, and then he took a lot of pictures of himself and got a massive Instagram account, and everyone thought he's an overnight success. I'm just kidding. But the point is that it really does, in fact, take a long time. And we need to ensure that we are being persistent if we're figuring out and thinking about our wealth for the long term. In fact, when we're focusing on our financial freedom, we want to make sure we've got financial freedom forever. It's not only about generating masses of income today, we want to make sure we've got a lot of money to survive for the rest of our lives. So when it comes to planning for your future, you want to start by saving really early. Now I see some young folks here in the room. It's never too early to start, but here's what I'll also say. If you're sitting in the room here today and you haven't started saving for your future, it's never too late. It's never too late to start focusing on your future. Now, many of you may be working for great employers who have awesome benefits. Maybe they match your contribution. Maybe they give you a discount of their stock. Ladies and gentlemen, that's called free money. Make sure you sign up and take advantage for it. You want to make sure you're monitoring your investments on a regular basis and saving for tomorrow. All right, here's the interactive piece of our presentation right here for you. What do you guys think financial planners and experts are saying the average Canadian needs to be able to retire? How much money do you guys think? $1 million? Throw them out here. 600, 700, way more than that? Yeah. Let me just show you here. $1.4 million for the average Canadian to retire. Now, let me ask you, ladies and gentlemen, how easy is it to save $1.4 million? It's definitely not that easy. So what we need to do, instead of trying to save $1.4 million, we need to invest our way to our financially fabulous future. Now, I want to share with you one of the strategies that has most intrigued me that I participate in and I share with a lot of my clients. That is called using mortgages inside of your RSP. Now, the thing is that a lot of people don't know that this is even a feasible option. Now, most of you have heard that you can put your RSPs in mutual funds, right? Yeah. Most of you have probably heard you can put some of your RSPs in like a GIC, right? And maybe a stock. But how many of you guys have heard that you can take the money inside your RSP and lend it out as a mortgage? Not a lot of people. In fact, this is a strategy that the big 5 banks, you know, the green ones and the blue ones and the red ones, used to allow us to do, but they don't anymore. So it's a strategy you now have to do with some of the smaller banks, the trusts and credit unions. Now, the cool thing is you're not actually taking your money out of your RSP, paying a penalty, and then lending it. It happens inside. And what's cool is that this particular strategy generally yields rewards in the space from 8 to 16%. And it's also backed by an asset. So if I go out and I buy a stock, and the stock crashes, that's it. It's gone. But if I go out and I buy a house and I've got house insurance and the house burns down, guess what? I'm going to get my money back from the insurance. So it's a strategy where, in fact, your funds and your contribution is backed by an asset. Now, you are essentially a private lender. And of course, you need to be educated to make sure that you can mitigate the risk and you understand what you're doing. But this is a strategy not a lot of people know about. So let me share a bit of an example with you. So let's say, for example, that I am 25 years away from retirement, so let's call me 40, okay? Let's say I'm planning to retire at 65 like conventional society says. We can debate that later, all right? So let's say I've got 25 years, and right now in my RSPs, I have $100,000. Now, for this 25-year duration, I'm not going to add a single other cent to my RSP, okay? No additional money. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to invest it at 4%, okay? Let's say I'm with my bank and 4%. That's maybe an average. We can debate that afterwards as well, but let's say that's what I'm going to get. With the magic of compound interest, this $100,000 with no additional money at 4% compounding, I'm going to have, drum roll please, $267,000. Whoop-dee-doo. It's hardly going to get me anywhere. But let's talk about if I got educated, I understood a sophisticated strategy like mortgages inside your RSPs. Let's take a look at what that would look like. So the exact same thing. Let's say I have 25 years until I'm taking my money out. I am going to put in $100,000 into my RSPs. I'm going to invest that with no additional contributions, but I'm going to invest it at 10%, which is conservative for the RSP strategy. If I do this, again, I've added no more money at the time of retirement, drum roll please, I'm going to have over $1 million. So it's the same $100,000. I have not added a single cent throughout the duration. But through the magic of compound interest, which, by the way, Albert Einstein said compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world, you have an opportunity to grow your money. So we're not going to try to save the $1.4 million. What we need to do is get educated to make our money work harder for us. So our action steps, if this is something we want to do, is start by figuring out how much money you are setting aside, because you have to have at least that base to start to invest. Figure out, with the help of a financial planner, how much money you're going to need. And set it up in an automatic deposit, so you don't have to waste time every single month remembering to put your money into your future. Step number 5, we want to make sure that we have got some support, because none of us can do it alone. Let me tell you a little story. When I first graduated from business school, I went and I worked for American Express. I worked there for 6 years, and I worked really hard, and I got a couple of promotions throughout, and I thought I did a really good job. And when I got to my 6-year anniversary, I was ready for my next promotion. I sat down with my boss, and I said, okay, I'm ready, what's next? He said, Limor, pat me on the head, figuratively speaking, you got some time. So I was really upset about this. I thought I had driven some significant results. I was doing a lot in the digital marketing space. So I went to speak to my mentor, Anthony. I said to Anthony, look, I've been here for 6 years. I don't know what to do. I've never been at another company. What should I do? He said, well, Limor, there's lots of opportunities out there. If you're not happy, see what else you can find. I thought, okay, no problem. So I scoured the marketplace. I started working with recruiters, and I came across a really interesting role at TD Bank. Well, they were at the time looking to launch their mobile apps in Canada and in the US. Now, the problem is this was a senior manager role. And everybody who was a senior manager at TD Bank at the time was in their late 30s and early 40s and didn't look and sound like me. So I went to Anthony and I said, Anthony, I think I found a really cool role, but I'm nervous to apply. I don't know that I'm going to fit in that culture. He said to me, Limor, you're exactly what they need. They're trying to do something new, so they need somebody different. I said, but are you sure? I don't really know exactly that I'm going to be a good fit or that I can do a good job. He said, Limor, you can do it. So I went ahead. I applied for the job. I went to the interview. I dressed as old as I possibly could look. And I ended up getting the job. But what I'm reminded about is that there's something that my mentor saw in me that I didn't see in myself. The mentor, Anthony, who had worked in lots of different companies, understood that sometimes an employer might be looking for something different. So I'm always reminded that a mentor can show you the way when you don't know the way. Mentors often can believe in our potential. They are the folks who can show us a path. They are the folks who've already done the thing that we want to do. They can collapse the time frames that it's going to take for you to get to where you want to in your dreams. And they can provide significant expertise. And sometimes a mentor is someone who you're paying, like an accountant or a lawyer who can help you to get to where you want to be financially. It's amazing when you have an opportunity to reach your goals. Because what happens when we reach our goals? What do we have to do? Set new ones, right? So if you're looking to build your team and additional support, here's some action steps for you. First of all, identify who is where you want to be. Who is already doing and achieving what's most important to you? Make sure that you interview them, make sure that you talk to professionals, and that you build the relationships, because you never know who's going to introduce you to your next mentor, or your next tax accountant, or the next person who's going to help you on your journey to be able to achieve your financial dreams. Make sure that you recognize that you don't need to do it alone, and that there's a lot of support out there for you. And actually, something that I would like to do to be able to support all of you is a little bit of a gift. So if you take out your phones, I'd like to be able to give you a copy of one of my books. It's called The Game-Changing Financially Fabulous Strategies That No One Ever Told You. So if you text the word fabulous, and you better be fabulous, to 77982, you can download a copy of the book. Because this is not about doing it alone. I'm not where I am today because I did it alone. There's a lot of support available for all of you out there. So here's what I'd like to ask you to do now. I'd like to ask everybody to please close your eyes. Go ahead, close your eyes. All right. And in a moment, what I want you to do is take in a really deep breath, and when you exhale, don't worry, nobody's watching. When you exhale, I want you to exhale out all the tension, all the anxiety, and all the worry that you have around money. And keep your eyes closed. So let's go ahead. Deep breath in, and let it out. Now, keeping your eyes closed, think about how great it would feel if you knew exactly where you stood with your finances. If you had a plan to get you to a place where you really want to be. How incredible would it feel if you knew you could spend money on the things that were most important to you and your spending was totally under control? Feel the warmth and the freedom because you have choices, because you have multiple streams of income in your life. Knowing that your money is growing for you, and that when you've got questions for somebody, you've got mentors and team around supporting you. Now, with this wonderful feeling, I want you to open up your eyes. Ladies and gentlemen, if you take one thing from my talk here today, I ask that it please be this. Each and every one of us have a little nail or a little thorn that's in our side that we've probably been ignoring for way too long. So I encourage you to please take one tiny step of action. Take that thorn or that nail out of your side. I want to be there to support you, and I want to thank you for having me up here today. Thank you.